Welcome back to Midco Sports Tonight. David Brown back with us as we continue our look at every NSIC football team and their big questions coming out of spring practice. So let's discuss Bemidji State. Big shoes to fill at quarterback, replacing an all-time great in Jordan Hines. So who's it going to be?
Still to be determined, and it's really anyone's guess because this is a decision you simply don't make lightly. Jordan Hines, one of the best combo quarterbacks in terms of throwing and running ability the NSIC has ever seen. There are two guys with experience right now on Bemidji State. That's juniors Nick Mellum and Jared Henning. But I also know they like redshirt freshman Brandon All. Per usual, it's going to come down to fall camp, but they're trying to replace someone, Kelly, with more than 100 all-purpose touchdowns and 10,000 yards of total offense for his career. Jordan Hines was a special player. The Beavers certainly have their work cut out for them trying to make this decision.
Yeah, that's a big one. But with questions at quarterback, what will the offense look like for the Beavers?
Well, as you might suspect, it's going to be run heavy. And luckily for Bemidji State last season, they found a workhorse running back in Andrew Lakowski. He's a junior college transfer from California. Lakowski averaged 6 yards per carry last year, nearly 1,000 yards on the ground. Also has the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. They'll need him to be great again because, as we mentioned, they're still trying to figure out the depth at quarterback as well as the depth behind Lakowski, honestly. A lot of redshirt freshmen with some opportunities, but for right now, Lakowski is the guy. Also some questions at wide receiver, trying to find more depth in that position. Andrew Lakowski can help bridge this offense between quarterbacks by continuing to do what he does best, which is be an all-purpose running back.
On the bright side, the Beavers had a top 5 defense last year.
They did.
So you go into the season with one of those defenses and questions at offense. Do you feel like they can step up to the challenge?
I think they can, and I think that strength comes from the secondary because they have guys who are playmakers. John Vogler at safety, Gunnar Olszewski at corner, both those guys with the ability to not only defend against the best receivers in the league, but create points as well. Here's a pick 6 from John Vogler last season against Northern State. Each Olszewski and Vogler, they have multiple pick 6s in their career. The front 7 is inexperienced. There's no question about that. Not a lot of veterans on the line or at linebacker. But there's no reason Bemidji State can't stay among the favorites in the North Division. Their resurgence came with Jordan Hines arrived 3 years ago. Now it's time for the Beavers to prove that they can stay elite on both offense and defense through the natural graduation cycles.
Yeah, everyone's going through it. They're just taking this hit a little more.
This is the lumpy year, so to speak.
I guess you could say. Well, finally, on to last year's NSIC North Division champions from Minnesota Duluth. They have a quarterback controversy, but it's in a good way.
In a good way, and it's weird to say, but for most teams it's about replacing a long-term starter or choosing between inexperienced second options. Minnesota Duluth has all 3 quarterbacks from its 2017 roster back this season, and all of them won games for the Bulldogs last season. The starter for 2017 was Mike Rabarchik. He hurt his shoulder in Game 2 last year, lost for the season. He's still rehabbing that shoulder. John Larson right here took over for him. He got hurt and was then replaced by Ben Everhart, who started the season as the 3rd-string QB. Everhart won a handful of games before he got hurt himself, and John Larson had to come back to take over. It's an embarrassment of riches because all 3 have proven capable of leading the Bulldogs. This one wasn't decided in spring, and it's going to be tough to decide in the fall. But again, most NSIC teams would kill for one of these guys.
Oh, yeah.
The Bulldogs have 3 of them, so a very tough controversy.
Yeah.
But again, it's a good thing to have because all of them have proven capable of winning.
Yeah, a great problem. But regardless of who wins that starting job, they have a lot to work with on offense.
Yeah, speaking of embarrassment of riches, another set of playmakers for Minnesota Duluth. There were only 2 1,000-yard receivers last season in the NSIC. UMD just happens to have the one that's returning to school in Jason Baltz, a true downfield threat who can also work at the shorter routes. Nate Ricci, he's coming back after a season-ending injury in 2017, not only helping with the receiving, but special teams as well. Austin Sylvester and Anthony Wood, those were the Bulldogs' 2 leading rushers last season. They are back for UMD in 2018. There is experience galore for this offense that averaged 33 points a game last season. Expect this side of the ball to once again be a well-oiled machine come September.
David, from what you've said and from what you look at on paper, I mean, the offense seems to be an absolutely elite unit, but can the same be said for the Bulldog defense?
Not quite yet, but they can be. Head coach Kurt Wiese likes the front 7, but he admits that the secondary is a bit young for UMD. Justice King was a corner who had some bright spots last year, but they're going to rely on linebackers like Nate Pearson, Gus Wettig to help hold down the fort. UMD led the conference in turnover margin last season at +16. That's going to be tough to repeat, but with an experienced offense, the defense should have the opportunity to play with a lead, and that can instill all the confidence in the world in in the defensive unit. Now, despite all this, UMD also has a goal to get back to the playoffs. They were 1-2, Kelly, after 3 games last year. They rallied to win 8 straight and get a Mineral Water Bowl spot, but they know they can't afford a slip-up in 2018. That was proven last year. If they want to get back to the postseason, they got to do that cliche 1 game at a time and know that they can't let anything slip up because they know just 1 loss or 2 could knock them out of contention.
Want to know. All right, well, 12 teams down, David.
Final 4 coming up tomorrow.
Final 4 coming up tomorrow. Thanks for joining me.
Absolutely.
Great stuff. All right, when we come back, a cubicle battle in head-to-head. Brian Sean and Greg Enkers go at it from West Fargo. Don't miss it. Stay right here.